All right, here we are. All right, so we had our first week of this assignment. So this project involves making an arrangement. So the first thing you want to do is finish that up tonight. Remember 6 to 10 parts, 2 treble instruments or voice, 2 chordal instruments, a bass instrument, and percussion. And one of your instruments must be a transposing instrument. And the idea is this makes a nice arrangement in Finale, but it also gives you a lot to work with when you put it into Logic. So I'm going to show you tonight. At the end of this, I want you to, before you decide, okay, I've got my Finale arrangement, it's done, I have some check mark things in the directions. So you want to have the directions up tonight so you can kind of go through what you're going to do. And these are the guidelines I use for my own publishing. My husband and I publish our own sheet music and sell it to people on the internet. And these are the things we go through before we put stuff out there. Is every marking in your score readable without anything overlapping? So you want it to be readable, right? People are reading these markings that you're carefully putting in. Are dynamics, articulations, slurs, and other shapes attached neatly to the note intended? Does the score maximize the space on the page? Well, you want to have your score to have as few pages as possible to maximize printing costs and page turns, right? If someone prints this out, they don't want to have to print out 40 pages for your arrangement. You want to try to maximize your score setup. See if you can fit 2 systems per page. So that's usually what I recommend. System is the whole set of all your instruments in one block together. That's a system. Important, listen to your playback. Listen to the whole thing at least 2 times. Do you like how the arrangement sounds? Are there any wrong notes? Are there any parts getting lost in the texture? Adjust pitches and volume as necessary. So don't skip that step. A lot of people are like, all right, I'm done. Let's just go on over to Logic. And you're going to want everything how you want it, because when you go into Logic, it's going to change from there. So also, you want it to sound good. If you send this to someone who's listening, who's going to, play this masterpiece, it should sound like a really good example. So they're inspired and they want to, do the project. Score of the PDF and WAV file, just like you did for the very first Finale project. That's the file format. So a PDF export, don't send a Finale file, and a WAV file, so an audio. So I can go into Blackboard and look at your score and then listen to your audio at the same time. Great, let's go on to the remix. So what you're going to do is export a MIDI file, and I'll show you how to do that, and import that into Logic. So Logic is a type of DAW, or digital audio workstation. It's one of the DAWs we're going to use in the class. And what you're going to do for the remix is make a new or manipulated sound for each part in the original. So each instrument you entered all these notes for are going to have their own track that you're going to put a new instrument, new sounds, new effects in. Another requirement is I want you to make this a different tempo. I'll show you how to change tempo. So it should sound like a totally different song. Don't have the same dong, 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 right? In fact, if someone heard it on WYCE, the local radio station, which you could submit this track for it, it should sound like, oh, wait, is that Satie? I'm not sure. So that's the idea. Totally different. You'll need to add a programmed drum groove. So you can add actually a drummer track. It's a very powerful tool in Logic that I just want you to know how to use. And I'll show you how to customize drum kits. And you have to have 1 tempo change. So those are just the 4. These are just kind of things that I think are standard procedures that you should know how to do if you're working with Logic. So it's kind of why they're there for the assignment. All right, so to export the MIDI, so you have this little file and we're going to export it. And basically remember what MIDI is, like the dots on the page of the player piano. We're going to export a file that's basically just that. So you go up to File and Export and go to MIDI file. And you just click that. I'll go ahead and save this one again, even though I already did. And do number 1, all instruments saved to separate tracks. This is the default. And save bookmarks as markers, that's fine. Just click OK. And it'll save all those tracks. Great. Then we can minimize Finale. Then we're going to open up Logic. Logic is this thing that looks like a CD player. And yours will be blank, but I'm going to do New. And I'm going to have it close my old project. Don't save. And you can really pick anything here, software, instrument. It doesn't matter because we're going to go up and we're going to go to File and we're going to Open. And we're going to go to where, so you want to remember where you saved the MIDI track. I saved mine on the desktop in this class folder. And here we have standard MIDI file. Open. And if you get this frame rate thing, just pick 24. Not a big deal. All right, so you can see here are the dots on the page, literally, right? This is my Finale information put into MIDI form. And right now they have a Steinway piano instrument plugged into every track. So like if I click play, it's going to sound like a piano playing everything. And by the way, play on to save yourself some mouse wrist pain is spacebar. That's the across any DAW, spacebar will start and stop your file. All right, so there we have that. So the first thing we're going to do is assign sounds to the tracks. And here's where you get to go to the candy store, because this has what's called an essential sound library installed. You can buy other sounds. Actually, if you go on the internet, you can buy thousands of sounds for Logic with different plugins. This one has an essential library, which is pretty cool. If you click on this upper left-hand icon, it looks like a little file system. That's where you can access the library. So this is the library button, where I think the shortcut is Y, library. So I'm going to just click on, let's just start working with this trumpet track. Let me move this over so I can see what I'm doing here. And do you notice how if I click where it says the name, that engages the track? So if you want to change the sound, you click on that track. And you can start putting instruments in, but today I was playing around with this. I was like, what does like moon music sound like? And there's a whole bunch of like sounds with moon. It depends how, psychedelic you want to get with this assignment. So I'm just going to double click, and that assigns moon glitters. And as I enter these, I'm going to solo the tracks. Do you see how I can solo or mute the tracks? I like to solo them to see if I like how moon glitters sound. So click here to go where you want to. You can just click up on this timing bar up here to go where you want to start and click space bar. Oh, whoops, I have a repeater on. Turn that off. Okay. Moon glitters. Okay. Whoa, a lot of reverb and delay on it. Great. And you can spend some time thinking about how you want your arrangement to be and kind of what you're gravitating toward. It's your choice. I'm just picking moon for this demonstration. Let's do another moon one. What is this? Moonrise Spacewalk. Let's see what that is. I'm going to solo that one. Check it out. And then I'm going to solo moon glitter, see how they sound together. All right, no surprise that they go together. All right, my bass clarinet, let's stick with the moon thing. I'll do something else when we get to maybe when we get to the bass. What is smooth synth arp? No, we'll save that for the piano. Let's do Moonlight Arc for the bass clarinet. The bass clarinet comes in a little bit later. What is the bass clarinet doing? All right, that's cool. Maybe not enough contrast right now, but you're getting the idea. Piano, let's do, I liked that, the looks of that smooth analog lead. Let's check that out. I'm gonna solo that one. Wow, that's the left hand of the piano doing the low one. And then try the other ones. All right, that's cool. Bass, let's actually pick something bass related. And look how many basses. Oh my goodness. If you like bass, what should I pick? Everybody, somebody give me something. Say what?
Punchy bass.
Punchy. Punchy bass. All right. And so I'm going to turn solo off and I'm going to solo just the bass. So you have like a global solo button up here. Together. Yeah, I went with the moon thing, so. All right, marimba, I'm gonna maybe do something for this one, maybe a little more sound effect-y, that's a word. Maybe some kind of sweep, like noise sweep. Let's check that out. Turn the global solo off so I can solo this one. So there's all kinds of, noise things you can work with too. That's pretty cool. And timpani, so I wanted you to do a percussion part because usually those have a little bit different, aspect. They're not like going the whole time necessarily in the same way that a melody or chords are. So it gives you kind of different options for what you might want to do, like maybe like some kind of futuristic bleepy kind of thing for the timpani. Let's see what Bleep City is.
Okay.
That's going to come in every once in a while, like with the timpani. Okay, so that's what you get to do. That's the fun part, right? That's just like, seriously, the candy store right there. You can go and create, like, the world's your oyster right there. All right. So now what I want you to do is go in and you have to work with effects a little bit. So let's say we want to work with like this oboe part. I'm going to just solo this Moonrise Spacewalk. And this part, you can turn on a repeater. If you see how it highlights these numbers up here, this will repeat over and over. And this is very helpful if you're trying to edit sound or change an effect, because it'll just play this part over and over. And you can just keep it going. To open up the mixer, these are the directions, you push X. Oh, you can't do it while it's playing. Okay. But so I can push X and then I can push play. And here's my moonwalk. You can see in the tracks, they're named at the bottom. And there's a part of the mixer where it says audio effects here in the middle. That's where my mouse is. And this is where you can just enter all different kinds of things. Let's do something like a flanger for this. Could be kind of cool. And here again, you can just listen back and play with it. If I make it more intense. A little more feedback. Whoa. So actually that made my oboe track completely different just from those effects, a little bit of effects there. So you got to do that a couple of times on the track, at least play with the effects. And then, so after you get kind of those going, you can push X and that'll get rid of the mixer. Then I want you to add a drummer. This is a super powerful part of Logic. So you just click, let me show that again. Up in your tracks list, there's a plus sign, and click that. And we're going to click on drummer. Click create. And I like to have my drum track at the bottom so I can kind of see it down here with my other stuff. And let's just work with, I'm going to just work with this rock style, but you can pick different drummers. A lot of the ones that are preloaded in here are in the hip hop and electronic. I wish that they had the R&B, but it's not part of the essential library. I think Curtis, I have Curtis at home. If you all want to go and get the extended library, Curtis is the bomb. Seriously, almost like a real drummer. The R&B has the best sounds. So that's just a little tip off. But we're just going to do the kind of out of the box. We're going to do Kyle rock. And what's cool, we click on the drummer track. I'm going to solo it. Oh, whoops, I got my repeater on, turn that off. So the repeater, if you want to work with repeat, you can just click up there again and it'll turn it on and off. Okay, so here's my. So if you double click on this patch, it'll open up this customizer. And what's really cool is that it has a little palette here where you can go from soft, loud, simple, or complex. And you can basically build your composition by changing this setting as you go. And usually people change it at the 4 bars. So like most music has 4-bar phrases. So you can see this automatically put in 4 bars. And then if I want another 4 bars and so forth. You can also drag this and do half portion. You can cut it and do, there's a cutter you can open and do half portion. But I'm just going to show you the kind of standard for now. So if I click on this, and let's say I want to just start with the hi-hat. So you can see there's different instruments in the kit. I can like turn everything on. There's some percussion like tambourine, maracas, hand claps. I'm going to just start with, just as a demo, I'm going to start with just the hi-hat in my arrangement. So I have this 4 bars selected. I have the hi-hat turned on. And let's just say soft and simple. So let's see what that sounds like for the drummer. Right, and maybe, cool. Might turn that one up. Okay, there's a little hit there. Something else you can do is click on details. And I like the sound of the closed. I'm going to turn this automatic off. I like the sound of the closed hi-hat. You can also change the time field to pull back or push forward. You can add swing. I don't like the fills so much. Turn the fills down. Okay, cool. So close the details. So did you hear all when it went to the next 4 bars? If I click on that, that entered my snare and the bass drum. Let's say I just want the snare to come in. You can have it do, there's like different things here you can click on for snare. Like number 3 has a little more of the stick on the rim. Moonrise came in. Let's turn that off for now. It's distracting. And I'm going to make this one a little more complex when the snare comes in. So here's my first patch, just the hi-hat, simple and soft. Next one, soft, complex, added the kick in the snare. Let's hear how those are going to change. Maybe a little more complex. So there you can start doing your sculpting and turning on different parts as you add different amounts of measures to your drum track. And you can kind of plan this out like, oh, maybe I want it to start really loud and get softer in the middle and get louder. Or maybe I want the whole first half to be like super compressed, crazy, and maybe the second part more chill. So you can kind of think like a composer on this. Okay, so that's the drummer. And then changing the tempo. I usually do my tempo changes at the end, but you can do it whenever you want. You just push G. So this is number 10 in the directions. Push G. And it opens up this kind of dialogue for some different stuff at the top. And here's your BPM. So I'm just going to take this up maybe to like, if you keep dragging it, it'll give you more numbers at the top. So don't worry. You can go all the way up to like bluegrass speed if you want. I don't think I want to go to 200. Let's do like 120 maybe. See what like 120 sounds like. Somewhere around there, 125. Okay. Okay, so totally different. That my moon arc has the melody. This is my melody. Yeah, so it's way too quiet. Yeah, this is where you can go into your mixer. And where's my moon arc? It's my moon arc. You can add the gain, add your dBs here in your mixer. Okay. Another thing, so to change the tempo during the song, so you have to do one tempo change. You can draw 4 little spots along the line. And you're going to do 4 because you need that many anchors to create a tempo change. Let me drag this open a little bit more. So draw 4 little dots, and you're just going to drag up. Ooh, you can have a dramatic, tempo change at a spot if you want, or you can have it a gradual. So you can kind of sculpt this how you want. So if I play here, you can kind of hear my tempo change. Real time. Like you want to slow down, kind of. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You can draw your dots and actually drag it as you're going if you want to do it by feel. All right, so that's the basic requirements for the logic part. You're welcome to play with it more. You can go in and any of these things in the mixer that are, some of these already have, like Moonlight has all this preset stuff. You can, click on this little setting and you can go in and, mess with it to your heart's desires, how you want to play with all this stuff. When you go to finish this, be sure to save this. Bad teacher. That was the first thing I needed to show you. Project 2 remix, save, right? Because I could have lost my work. This saves a logic file. So it doesn't save your audio, just to put that out there. That's how DAWs work. They save a project file. When you want to export your audio, you go to File and Bounce. You're going to bounce project or section. And you're going to click PCM MP3 and Wave 24-bit 44100, which is basically that's MP3 quality, which is fine for this. You don't want the file to be too big. It's already going to be 67 megabytes. Woo. And then you click OK. And that'll export this, all the stuff you did here as an audio track. Are we ready to get it? Yeah. Okay. Attack.